Hello, coaches. My name is Brad McCaslin. I am the founder here of XA Score, and I want to take you through the initial steps of getting up and running with XA Score. One thing to note is we have several programs that are on the platform who each use this in their own unique ways, and we work with every program independently to figure out the best way to meet your needs. So I'm going to show you some of the basics and some of the things that are best practices across programs. However, we are here for you to reach out and ask us ways that we can help you better achieve what you're after and create the results, the opportunities, the possibilities to handle these things within the system, within XA Score, and for your team in the way that you see best. So let me get right into it by showing you a few things here. Okay, so in your onboarding email, you received a couple links. One of the links is to what we call your team page. This is our test team page. Your logo will appear over here on the right. And then there's a series of buttons. They won't look exactly like this, but they can look different based on each individual team. And I'm going to show you how that works. The first two rows are typically going to be locations within the dashboard, where you will locate different reports by the name of the button. And then the last row is going to be access to our shared drive. That is where we will access a variety of different things, from rosters to team management sheets, to the documentation that will help you understand different things that we may be putting in there. Your QR codes will also populate in here in a folder. This is where you go to find all the information that we can share between the two programs. It is also access to your team master tracker. So within the team management sheets, the master tracker itself is where we push back all the body weight information into the sheets on a daily basis. And it's where right now you go in to set the goals that you want for season goals or period goals, whether that's off season, in season, summer, winter, whatever the case may be. Those are your period goals. And also short-term or intermediate goals. As you see here, these are set up in a weekly fashion for our test team. All of the goal setting is something that we'll continue to explain to you and for those that do that on a regular basis. Back to your dashboard or your team page, I'm sorry. You'll also see links to tips and tricks. This is going to take you out to our video site, giving you different videos that you can always reference. We update this periodically with video tips. They're going to help you to better understand certain aspects or new releases or new features with a program, or a new way we're helping a team to achieve goals that we think can benefit our existing users. So we'll email you out a link. You'll be able to know specifically when those occur. You don't have to check this on your own, but this is a place for you to follow up on periodically. Next, we have our support community. This is something that we are working on to expand. It opens up a link to a direct phone number and contact to me. This is an opportunity for your athletes to be able to reach out to us directly for questions on resetting passwords or issues they might be having with an app. We want to be a solution for them as opposed to it always going through you. So we send this in the player onboarding for them to join the community. It's a simple text to this number, save this number in their phone, and then they can send us screenshots. They can communicate any issues, and hopefully that will bypass some of the challenges you might have. And then last here, we have a link back to our website. So this is some common things that we see. We update this periodically, but forgetting your password, for example, the process for doing so, submitting check-ins, comparing scores, viewing reports, things of this nature are listed here in the FAQ, and it's a good starting point for questions. And this is something that will continue to grow over time, as you would imagine. So let's go now into the dashboard and show you a few items that will help you pull out the information that you're looking for. This first page, the snapshot, this is a report that is in the dashboard, and a lot of this information is also in your phone. We do push this out to the reports on your in phone app as well. So just a couple of quick things about navigating the dashboard. Right now, there are 35 pages within the dashboard. They're all numbered for organizational purposes. They're also grouped by the most popular in the top, and we will move these around from time to time. And I apologize if you get used to something being in a certain place and then we have moved it. We'll always notify people when we do that. But we are in a process of trying to find ways to make this better every day. We've got a section on weight management. We've got a section currently on missing check-ins, although this is something that will dramatically change with this latest release of our in-app events management. And then we've got a couple other, here's some general, trends in readiness, a number of sleep reports that are listed right here, a continuation of readiness, the leaderboards, which are quite popular. And then down below here, this is score data. These reports down here are score data. Some of this is something that you might get to at certain times. The raw data is a good place to really take a look at individuals and how over time, how they're doing with certain things. And then we've got reports that we're constantly working on down here. They're work in progress. So we might share these with certain teams and individuals based on their requests of us. Truth be told, most of these reports have come from users asking us, how can we do this? How can we do that? Where can we go to find this information? And so please come back to us with those requests, because we're able to go into this this platform made by Google. We're able to really output a lot of good reports and data. So we're going to continue to work on things here and then fill them in up above as it makes sense. Best to check your categories in these sections here to be able to understand where to best navigate. So let's just take a look at a couple of the reports. This particular one is pointing to our test team. We know how many weight check-ins on the day, daily check-ins. What you're looking at here, I know it's self-explanatory, but you're looking at the average soreness today. And then the trend, this soreness is improved. Green is improved, although soreness going up to a 5, all right, is the best number you can have. And so that might tell someone that soreness is increasing. It's not. 5 is the best number for soreness. 1 is the worst number for soreness. And this soreness currently is being compared against the previous 7-day average. So today over the last 7-day average, am I improving or am I going down? So in these two areas here, our average sleep quality has dropped by 9% today over the last 7-day average. And our sleep duration is also down today. However, feeling and soreness are both improved today. Total team sleep hours. This number is a value only if you're getting the consistent same amount of daily check-ins. If one day you get 100, the next day you get 95, the next day you get 75, then the next day is 100, then this total sleep hours is not going to be as beneficial to you. But you can see that trend over time if you're very consistent with your use. And then this is just something that is interesting to take a look at. Who slept the least on the team? That'll jump out at you. We had somebody that slept 4.75 hours. That's also 11% better than the last 7-day average of minimum sleep hours. So it's an interesting metric to take a look at. Now, a couple of things with this. All of our reports are meant to be interactive. There are drop-down options where you can go in and you can change dates. So I can look at a previous date if I want to by just changing this. Okay. Or I can look at an array of dates if I want to see some of this information across days. Also, let's say I am just the offensive line coach and I want to look at just my guys alone. By selecting this now, the data that's being reflected here, or as it populates, is going to be just of my position group. Remember, these are set up also in the very same way in your phone. So as a position coach, you can structure this so that you're just seeing the data of your individuals at your position. The next report I'll share with you, and I'm not going to go through all of these, but today's check-ins, simply because I want to be able to share with you some of the other interactivity that you have with this. So this is listing today's check-ins. It does sort initially by position and then alphabetically by first name at this point. You've got today's body weights, and then you've got a listing of each of their check-ins. It's color-coded in a gradient way so that the best numbers are brightest and the worst numbers stand out darkest in each of the categories. That is the same. You can also, at the top of any column, you can sort. And so the first sort is going to go from high to low, and then Clicking the column again, obviously, is now going to go in ascending order. You have access. It's hard to see, but in this top right-hand corner, there's a more button when you click these three dots right underneath your team logo. So you can change how you want to sort. You can reset your list, and you can export it. By selecting the export, you can take this entire table view and export it as a CVS to Excel or to Google Sheets. And then you have some options as well down here. Below today's check-ins, we have feeling, sleep, and soreness. I'll give you a quick look at the report itself. Again, date controls with this. Here's a list of low to high feeling concerns that might exist, soreness concerns, so anything that's a 1 or a 2, and sleep quality. So sleep quality is a low, and then the additional information of sleep time as a factor in this. So again, we push out all of these concerns directly to each coach's app in the reports button. So one click of the reports button at the bottom, and you're going to get a list of any of the concerns that are have reported in that day. This low feeling engagement, I'm going to take you through this real quick. So over the last 14 days, we're taking a look at all of the individuals in this team. 69 times we've had an individual in the last 14 days put a 1 or a 2 down for feeling. So this is just specifically to feeling. And the reason is that this is the one area that your athletes, through our statistics, over 90% of the time are telling you the truth about how they are feeling. It's their way of reaching out. When you meet them in person, at the practice, at the workouts, in meetings, their body language, their demeanor, their attitude can be very strong, can meet you right where you want. But quietly somewhere, they may be experiencing some challenges. And this is where they're telling you that by the accounts that we get. So what this report is meant to be, this is an ideal report to open up in a staff room, in a staff meeting, and look over the last 14 days. So if I just pick on one in particular, February 1st, yesterday, actually, let's do this. Let's go back as far back as the report shows, and let's look for the first one. Bean Cooley on January 19th reported a 1. So what we would do with this information is we would just take Bean by himself. Okay. He only has one report of a 1 feeling during this whole 14-day period, but this gives us an opportunity to talk about what happened on January 19th. All right. We look and we see the day, we see all the data that's coming in on that day. And we know that he checked in, and this is a way for coaches to say, okay, so who spoke to Bean? I don't know what position he is right here, but his position coach obviously might be the first one, or maybe the strength coach, or maybe he checked in at the training room. What happened that day? What was the case? What did we talk to him about? And then what happened after that? And so you're seeing 2 lines here. You're seeing the orange line, which is our actuals, okay? And you're seeing a blue line, which is a potential trend line off of what he's reporting. This report becomes an ideal way for you as a coach, as a head coach, as a coordinator, to be able to ask questions about who had a conversation with Bean on this day, or who knew what was going on with him during this time, and then what happened? What was our engagement? Did we have an impact? Did we see improvement after that, or did we not? Whatever the case may be. As you go down the list and you look at all the different individuals that are in here and they're reporting, you can look at the specific date in which they reported it. You can look at the trends that circulate around those dates, before and after, potentially over the last 14 days. Here's a February 1st by Jimmy Oski that he reported that. So leading up to that, we have all the reports that went into the system prior to. We see sleep, we see sleep quality, and we see soreness. And so we can get it. We have some context to have a conversation, but now we have the ability for us as a staff to have a conversation about what our engagement was with that individual. I do understand that some things are more private, and those can be handled individually as a program. Of course, we're trying to create a way to keep track of the issues that have occurred, and did we deal with those issues? Were they engaged? And then the particulars of that can be handled however you want. Next, let's go into the weight category, weight management. So we've got 4 here, and some of them are for certain times of the year. Daily weight is the most common that everyone looks at. It's replacing, in most cases, what strength coaches are tracking on a daily basis of all their athletes. We've got it organized by position. You can sort by or filter by position as well as just name alone. And you have the historical weights going back as far as you want to look. In the system, every weight possible will be listed right here. So beyond body weight of itself, we've done a few things in terms of evaluating changes of body weight. So some of this is more effective during training camp, or during a period of time in which you are looking at an athlete gaining back the weight from the previous day and making sure that they're ready to go without concerns. So by changing this date, I now have all of today's information, today's body weight, the last weight known in the system. What is the change in that? What stands out? What's a concern? What's a loss of more than between 1% and 2%, or potentially more than 2% right here? These top 2 rows are comparing the day. The bottom 2 rows are comparing since the start. The start date or the start weight on this date is going to be whatever we put into the system here, January 1st. So since the start, Nick Hammond has a 259-pound weight. He has gained 11.3 pounds. He's gained 4.5% or 4.3% since that start date. So Nick is putting on the weight. It is important to point this report at a date in which you had all of your athletes weigh in, or we at least need a body weight in the system, whether they weighed in that day or not, but we need a factor in the system for whatever date you want this start date to matter. Otherwise, you're going to find some gaps in this. So, in this particular case, the offensive lineman had these 2 individuals that did a body weight that day, but these 3 do not. So that's an important factor for this chart to factor for you. If you look at the intraday body weight change, there are times where we're weighing in more than once a day, and very common during training camp, for example. We're getting a list of the first weigh-in that day, the last weigh-in that day, and what is the change. So this could be a practice, pre-practice weight, post-practice weight, and then what is the change. And so now you're getting a look at anything that's a concern. Yellow is between 1% and 2%. Red is more than 2%. So here's our greatest concern right here. Neil Ross losing 6.59% of his body weight, going from 218 to 204 in 1 day's practice. So this replaces the athletic training report in terms of, okay, who are we concerned about? And if you use that in conjunction with the report that we just looked at, you can immediately look at today's weight, look at the end of yesterday's weight, and see if they've gained back the weight that they need to be eligible for practice today. So you have a look at today's concerns at the end of practice with the intra-body weight change, and then you have a look at in the morning or at the beginning of the next day, any concerns we have going into that day. Okay, a couple of things to explain here in the missing check-ins. This is for now. When our new release is out, this will not mean the same. Currently, with our test team listed for February 2nd, we have nobody missing a weight check-in. But if there is someone who doesn't have a check-in, a weight check-in on a given day, they're going to be listed here as missing. The one caveat to this is that we need to have a check-in over the last 30 days or they don't show up on this report. So if they have been away from the program or have never checked in, they are not considered missing until they at least have one check-in to give us a record of that. Here, you have a list of times, earliest to latest on the given day of who checked in. So 10:16, organized by the minute. We didn't do this broke down by the second to keep the report a little cleaner. We know what they actually weighed in at, what their check-in was, and we also know the method. So you have some documentation in your shared folder that tells you what each of these methods are, but CM means coach manual. That means a coach manually put that weight in. PM would indicate a player manual put that weight in. And so it gives you an idea of validity. If they use a QR, it'll either say PQR or CQR, depending on who the individual was that scanned the QR code. That's a more reliable method in that you know that that athlete was at least at the location of the QR code when it happened. Then some of you have the automated weight scale, which means nobody's putting the weight in. Our system is doing it automatically, and that will have a PK for player kiosk and QR, or CK for coach kiosk. The P or the C just is relative to the device that's used for it. The K means that they scan the kiosk, which means there is authenticity in both the body weight, the time, and the location. Each of these check-ins, weight check-ins, and daily check-ins have a report that are going to list both the timing in which the individual checked in, anyone that's missing. Two other quick reports I want to share with you. We get asked about quite a bit. Sleep is something that is a continuous battle. We all know that. So if you're looking at information about sleep, such as just what's our look at sleep for a given week, we can give it to you by position. Okay. This is everybody in the program. We know what our sleep time in the program is over this week, our sleep quality. The indicators again are compared to last week's sleep numbers. And then over here is a drill down list. So we know that our tight ends are the worst sleepers. It's organized in ascending order. And our specialists are our best. We got sleep quality as well. The drill down means that I can pick any position. And then this arrow right here means that I'm able to drill into that position and then look at all the individuals that are associated with it. So there's only 2 tight ends on the team. This is their sleep time, this over the same period, the period that's listed, and that's their sleep quality. And then you can come back out of that, go to a new position group, and you can drill in to that individual position group and get the data that you want. So this is another evaluation tool for sleep and sleep habits. Obviously, this stands out dramatically with a sleep quality average over the last 7 days of a 1.33. Something is certainly going on with Derek. Let's take a look at a couple of the other sleep reports that we have here. One is a sleep study. So again, this is listed, this report initially, it doesn't give you a ton of value as you look at it right here. It only does once you pick individuals. So trust me, I'm not sleeping 0 hours. So it's the list here, the pick list is going to be sorted from your worst sleeper down to your best sleeper. So if we're taking a look at Callum, maybe we're going to have a meeting with Callum. We're going to call him in and take a look at his report with him and have a conversation and see what we can do to help. So we're only looking at 3 days worth of data over this particular goal period that's listed right here. He's had back-to-back low sleep hour nights, and his quality is down as well. It gives you an opportunity now to look at minimum and maximum sleep time recorded as well. Probably the next most popular, it should actually be in the popular reports section, is sleep and soreness. There's a correlation. We all know and understand this. So this is a way to, once again, have some context when having a meeting. So we know Callum's a bad sleeper. We understand his situation. Let's look at a different period of time just to help with this report. I'm going to go back to in season. Callum won't be the worst sleeper there because he wasn't on the team during the season. But let's look at this week's worth of time. So given a period of time of October 3rd, 14 days, 2 weeks during the course of the season, we have, these are our sleepers between 6.9 and 9. Let's pick Billy by himself and look at his data. And what you'll get in the top column are the dates highlighted by issue. So we've got 8 reported days. We know the exact date. We know the sleep start, sleep end. You can see some concerning trends. There's a 2:30 in the morning. You have sleep times that are highlighted that are a concern. So anything under 7 hours is highlighted. And then you've got a different view of the metrics. So their average sleep time over that period, where they dip below. Okay. So you can have conversations about, what was going on, in this time of your life, what was happening here. If this is the first time we're having a conversation, and what got better during here, what were you doing different? What was happening to you at this point? Take a look at your soreness over the course of the period. Now, Billy did not report much of a concern on soreness during this time, other than the fact that it dropped to a 4 when he started having some dips and inconsistencies of his sleep, with only one other report of a 5 during that period. Okay, let's just take a couple more looks at some reports. One is in the leaderboards area. We have 2 leaderboards that that we currently use. We have a top 10 leaderboard and then a top to bottom leaderboard. So I'll open this up here initially. It's got the most information in here, and then I'll come back to the other one. But what I'm looking at are scores. The default view, as it says up here, is of yesterday's data. As you know, we have multiple scoring runs during the course of the day. You guys provide us with excuses and why people should have their scores changed. And so today's data, today's score data isn't always 100% accurate, depending on where we're at in that process. But yesterday's data should have finalized and should be clear. So what you're looking at here is a list of all 35 members of this team, organized from best to worst, and then the other way around. So it's the same information, but it gives you a top to bottom or bottom to top look. Whereas if we take a look at the other leaderboard, we're going to get a little bit of a different view. You're going to get your top 10 individuals listed right here. And then you're going to get that positional look over here on the right side. So 1 through 11, we're able to see the position scores and organized. And then, just like we talked about before, these are drill down opportunities for you right here as well. You can take a look at any position group, and the individuals are going to show. Now, this is their total XA score. Okay, this is all the components that make up their XA score. This isn't one aspect of the score. Okay, sometime once you're in this view, you're wanting to get a little bit more detail on their score data. So going to the raw table gives you all the controls that you might possibly want or need to identify what's going on with an individual. So depending on what it is that you are scoring and the time frame that we're looking at, that's going to make up this view. So I'm going to move back into the season with this team. Let's look at October 1st to the end of the month. And you can be as historical as you want with this. Now we have all aspects of current scoring on time for today and the last 30 days, today's body weight, 3-day moving average, 7-day moving average, and then their weight consistency. We see the actuals in the areas that applies. That's weight, 3-day and 7-day. We see what the goals were for those particular days, and then the corresponding scores that occur. So on time, it was very early for this check-in. Overall, very early over the last 30 days. This is a very, very disciplined individual. And we have the only things that are bringing down his particular score right now is some fluctuations in his weight consistency. So he was on goal today, but in his past, he's had a little bit more fluctuation than is expected for that individual. So his overall XA score is a 98.34 currently, as of October 31st, the last day here. And these are the scores that make this up. So you can select any individual. Let's say we want to look at Donald. So this gives us a deeper dive over the period that we've selected specifically into Donald and every one of these categories. All right. So this is a scrollable look. And, if there's anything that's going to stand out, if ever he was late for something, it'll pop out quickly right over here. You can see it, every one of these, he's early. So Donald has done a great job with the majority of his check-ins. He's also doing a pretty good job of staying on track with his body weights. If I want to isolate a specific metric, let's just say I want to look at on time. just for Donald over that period. Now we're going to get just very granular data on every single day over this. We see that he has been on time consistently during the period. One last report I want to share with you is one of our works in progress, and this is something that we are working on right now. So there is a couple different things to think about with the understanding of readiness or of their daily check-ins, okay? So if an individual has checked in using our daily check-in system, we take all of the components of the check-in and we have built a readiness indicator. We don't want to call this a score because this is not anything that impacts a player's score. This is more of an indicator for both you as coaches, who is the most ready for the day or the least ready for the day in this case, and the most ready for the day over here. I will be honest with you, we are still working on a number of things. So let me just point out what we mean by this. So if Callum and Brady both put a 4 for feeling today, well, that 4 for Brady might say something different than that 4 for Callum because we're looking at what they historically put down. So their change in reporting has as much to do with what the number it is itself. And so we are calculating that in our algorithms to give you a better view of the individuals and their state of readiness. Just the same, if Callum says he got 8 hours of sleep and Brady got 8 hours of sleep, but Callum got it from midnight to 8 o'clock and Brady got it from 10 until 6, that is a different circumstance. And so those 2 8-hour sleeps are going to be factored differently in terms of a readiness. As I mentioned, this is a work in progress. This is our first step at it. It does give you an indication, but it is not something yet that we're hanging our hat on. And even to the point of the format in which we're going to present it to you, we've talked about a number of things. So these are the kinds of things that we continue to work on and grow and hope to help you better understand what our data can do for you quickly and easily, either through the dashboard, which is what we focused on here today, or within your reports on your app. Thank you for going through this with me. I appreciate it. We look forward to working with your program and finding all the ways that we can provide fast, effective, quick data and help you make better decisions, impact your program, measure your culture, measure your discipline, and most importantly, better connect with the individuals in your program. Thank you so much.